Hello, my name is Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Builds, and today I'd like to take you on an adventure through my understanding of Tesla's Colorado experiment. A lot of people out there think that Tesla wanted to light up the world and create wireless electricity throughout the air. However, I don't think that that was what he wanted to do at all. In his Colorado experiment, Tesla was experimenting with putting a rod down his Tesla coil and being able to produce energy into the ground. It's said that at 4 miles away, he would still be able to light up a light bulb just by placing it under the ground. So, I'm going to do a series of lab tests in order to test that theory and to see if we can come close to replicating exactly what Tesla was trying to do. This right here is our lab test setup. On the right, we have our driving Tesla coil. It is resonating at 320 kilohertz. On our left, we have a Tesla coil that usually resonates at about 340 to 360 kilohertz. However, in this case, the only thing attached here is the number 2 winding that's attached to the red wire that goes into the water. On the right side of our driving Tesla coil, we have the wire that goes down the center of the throat. It is not attached in any way whatsoever to the number 2 winding or number 1 winding of the Tesla coil. In this instance, we're going to be using a Slayer exciter circuit that uses a PNP transistor and then will run all day at 40 volts. In Colorado Springs, Tesla put a rod down his Tesla coil. He put it right into the ground. We all imagine different parts. Did he put it in the dirt? Did he put it in the granite layer that was there? Or did he get down far enough to hit the water table? Well, my thought is that he hit the water table. So, the experiment goes like this. Let's put the wire down the center of the Tesla coil. Let's see if water works good as a conductor. And let's try to light up a second Tesla coil and then light up a light bulb right next to it. Will it work? Then, if it does, let's go ahead and let's just put the wire in the water from the Tesla coil, but not attached to it, only down the center. Then let's do the same on the other side. We'll just simply put a wire connected to a bulb and put it in water. Let's see if these experiments pan out, and if we can get closer to understand why Tesla might have used water in his Colorado Springs experiment. So let's get a little closer and let's take a look at what we're doing. This wire right here runs to our number 2 coil right here. You can see that we're in water. We're not touching the wires. We're just both put in water. This wire here goes back to the Tesla coil. And as we can see, the wire's not connected to anything. There's the end of it. All we're going to do is we're going to take this whole thing. We're just going to put the wire down the Tesla coil. Now the cap is only there to hold the wire in place. Now as you can see our setup here, we have 2 Tesla coils. There's our light bulb. And there's our light bulb on the other side. We're just using a PNP Slayer exciter circuit, which is absolutely one of the best circuits I've ever built. Let's set this up. We're going to turn off the lights so that we can see the light bulbs very clearly. And then we'll start the experiment. As you can see, we are at 22 volts and our light bulbs are both lighting up just fine. We're also seeing breakouts on the first Tesla coil. So the water itself is conductive and it will conduct the electricity through it. The more interesting thing is, we're not even connected to the Tesla coil primary or the secondary of our number 1 Tesla coil. It just goes down the center of it. Absolutely beautiful experiment. I'm going to turn back on the lights. That experiment was an absolute success. So let's move on to our next experiment. We have right here our fluorescent tube. It's just sitting on top of a little frame. It's got 1 wire connected here. The other wire is just sitting in water. Now this wire here, it's going off to our Tesla coil. Our Tesla coil, however, the wire that goes down here just goes down the center. Again, there's the end of the wire. There's nothing connected to it. I'm simply going to place it here. I put a cap on it so the wire will be able to stay in place. As we can see, the water works beautifully. This light is brighter than I've ever seen. Now, we look. The water is not looking like it's conducting electricity between 2 points. It's just using the water as a wire. As you can see, we have breakup on our number 2 Tesla coil. And this light is lit up, letting you know it's on. As you can see, the experiment was a success. As we can see, water makes a great conductor for electricity. However, if we put a bunch of dirt into it and made mud, would it also be a great conductor of electricity? It's time to find out. We saw in our last experiment where we used water. Now, we're going to use mud. Nasty, nasty mud. And all we're going to do is we have our wire here, not connected to anything else. Place it right there in the mud. That's connected to a fluorescent tube. Then we have a wire here. Nothing on it, but we're just going to put that here on our mud. And again, the wire goes here. And we'll show you, not connected to anything, just goes down the center of our Tesla coil. We are at 19 volts and we're connected through the mud and we're still conducting electricity. This light is very bright. This light over here isn't as bright, and it's hard to see at night, but it isn't. Again, you can see our Tesla coils turned on. We have no activity in our mud, but it's still connected through the mud to the wire and creating electricity through it. Now that we know water is electrically conductive, and we know if we add dirt to that and make mud, it's also electrically conductive. However, the next experiment is going to see if we can put earth on top of the mud and make it conductive as well, or will it work as a capacitor? So, the test is simple. Set up the same experiment, but this time put a dirt clod on it, and then we're going to take our light and put it directly on top of the dirt clod. We're going to see if the energy will pass through and if it lights up brighter. As we saw in the last experiment, we had our fluorescent tube connected just directly into the mud. Then we had our wire connected directly into the mud. Let's take a look. Again, no wire attachment there. Again, nothing there, just connected right into the mud. Dirt clod on the top. We have our Tesla coil here. We are not connected to the number 2 wire in any way. There's the end of our Tesla coil there and attached to nothing. We're just going to put it down the throat of the Tesla coil. We're going to be using a Slayer exciter circuit today. We have our control light to tell us when our Tesla coil is on. We have our fluorescent over here to tell us when the actual mud is conductive. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put a light bulb up to the dirt clod. At any point, because the mud's conductive, I expect the light to turn on. What we're going to find out is if it turns on even more when it goes next to the dirt clod and makes that connection as a capacitor. So let's turn off the lights and let's run the experiment. As we can see, the mud itself is conductive. But the most interesting part is how much more conductive it is when you touch it on the ground part, on the dirt clod. Just to show that mud's conductive, let's take a longer wire from our Tesla coil. Again, not connecting it to anything, we're just going to put it down the center of our Tesla coil. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to put the light bulb near the mud. We're going to see if it lights up. We're going to use a longer wire in this experiment. What's the reason? We want to see if the mud itself is producing enough energy in there, or if, like a capacitor, it's producing more energy in there by storing it inside the mud. Let's do our control test now. We know our mud's right here. We have our wire. Simply right there, we're just going to put it into the mud. It's going to go right over here to our Tesla coil. Again, wire's not connected to anything. We're going to put it down our Tesla coil. Make sure it goes to the bottom so it doesn't create spark over. Now, we're just going to use the Slayer exciter circuit. We're going to light up a light bulb next to the Tesla coil. Then we're going to light up a light bulb next to the mud. Here's the question. Will the mud be able to light up a light bulb at any distance? Interesting thing to see? Let's find out. We're going to turn off the lights and start our experiment. As we can see, we have our Tesla coil lighting up a light bulb at a distance already. Let's take a look right here. Let's see how far it takes our light bulb. I'm still lit up on my light bulb, but barely, and I'm 5 feet away. So yes, it's adding more to our Tesla coil because it's acting as a ground as well. Now, let's look at our other one. We already see that we're lighting up our ground, and it's lighting up a light bulb. Let's see how far the distance goes now. As you can see, at a distance, we're lighting it up pretty good. So the ground has become conductive. It's acting as a second Tesla coil. Watch when I put the light on the dirt clod again. It's going to light up brighter. I've now created a capacitor in the earth ground. As we can see from all the experiments today, was Tesla running energy through the ground? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. Tesla wanted to produce energy everywhere. The best way to do it is to connect the energy to the water table. However, in his case, he wanted to do it where the energy was not harmful to people. That's why he put the wire down the Tesla coil instead of connecting it directly to the Tesla coil. It's that understanding that makes this whole thing possible. Tesla created energy where you could put a light bulb in the ground anywhere. as long as the actual rod that goes to your Tesla coil or through the center of it goes down into the water table of the earth. Now we can all understand this. We can now start to understand producing energy everywhere without wires. This is what Tesla knew in the Colorado experiment. Hopefully today I showed you enough testing and lab testing that you can really understand this. I want to thank everybody for watching today. And, like always, if you like what you saw here today, like, share, and subscribe. And remember, Tesla's an absolute genius.